Hello, YouTube. All right, let me see if I can go wide angle on this or not. No. Evidently, from the front camera, I can only use one. It only on one camera mode, so I can't go wide. I can only go wide if you're looking at my mug. Anyhow, wanted to give you guys a quick update on what is going on. And I've been kind of silent, and the reason I've been silent lately is I've just been busy. There's just a gazillion things going on, and I've been on the RV. Not as much as I would like, but I've been getting some stuff done. But I wanted to show you where we're at right now. It's not done, but it's starting to look a little bit more done. But I wanted to remind you what the RV looked like when we first got it. So I was looking at my old videos. Hey D, how's it going? I was looking at the old video and found this one. I wonder if I have my crap. The thing just. We're actually on Roku. We're on Roku through the RV. Through the RV parks. Let me mute that. Hang on. Crap. 12% of MSRP cash back on 2020 Blazer models at one of your Central Florida. All right, so we're watching an ad there, but this thing wasn't supposed to start, but it started. But anyhow, this is the old RV of video of what the RV looked like when we first got good enough. Just wanted to remind everybody what we were actually facing when we bought it. This video is available on the channel if you want to see it. But you can see the floor was missing and you could fall through it. The people before me had bought it and they were going to rehab it. And they were all gung-ho and were trying to do it properly by ripping it all apart. And then they got depressed. When they ripped it all apart and they said, holy schmoly! This is a lot! And they just found too much stuff and ran out of time. I think he wanted to do it right. He even paid to have the seats and stuff reupholstered and everything. So he spent some money on it. And then, you know, the guy that had bought it before me owned like some kind of business that sold like automotive parts, and he had this thing parked at the warehouse. But I guess after a while, either his wife said get rid of it, or the city came and said you can't park this here. So he ended up selling it to me fairly cheap. I think I paid like $1,200 for it, but this was the condition it was in. You can see I don't know if I showed the ceiling, but the ceiling was all ripped down too. Panels were all ripped off the wall. There was just, it was a mess. You guys remember that? It was like overwhelming almost. And, you know, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know what all would be involved in it, but I knew that, you know, it was probably the most affordable RV that I would find. You can see me carefully stepping over everything because I was afraid of falling through. There was insulation on the floor, but then underneath that, I think there's like a thin little metal, you know, panel, but you could bust through it. And you can see the whole bed area was missing. I didn't realize it at the time, but even the front walls had all leaked through, and those had to be ripped out eventually. But you can see the entire rear wall was completely ripped off. And there were holes that you could see completely outside. I don't know if I showed the bathroom or not, but the bathroom was really bad too. And I decided to go for it. Of course, my wife, once she saw it, she was like, oh, Denoy. Oh, Denoy. Yeah, this was what the RV used to look like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this. And I don't know how the quality of the stream is on here. I'm hoping it's good enough. Let me try to pause this. Oh, crap. I don't even know how to pause this. Okay, so we're on pause. So anyhow, that is running. That is how the RV used to look. So I'm going to show you what it looks like right now, and it's still kind of a mess because I haven't finished. But I'm showing you the process of how I'm doing it and living in it. Because the most ideal situation, you're not living in a house or an RV that you're renovating. Because if you have to live in it, it is hard. Because you got to keep moving things. You got to keep moving them back. It's complicated, okay? It makes things take a lot slower, and they're not as good. But the whole premise is that everything should be good enough. As you can see, I have painted the front roof area. I haven't finished painting the van, but I painted most of the walls. I haven't done all the trims and everything because that part's not that critical yet. And I started to do the cabinets, but haven't finished those either. They will need to be painted and stuff. Ideally, these should be ripped out and new ones should be put in. But I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and I don't have the will. I don't want to deal with it. I just want to use it, okay? Because certain changes are happening that you guys will be aware of over the next couple of weeks or months. So I just want to make sure I get this thing done, okay? And you see, just to show you how bad the paint job is, but it'll look okay when I finish, hopefully. I basically just took a brush and I started brushing paint. And you can see it looks bad. But I'm showing you that it looks bad to kind of encourage those of you who say, hey, I can never do anything, and everything I do looks like crap. Well, this looks like crap because it's a work in progress. It's like if you've ever watched a painter, if you see how they paint, they do it in layers and stuff because they have a vision in their mind of what they want the finished product to look like. And that's what they work towards. But when they're first starting, you know, it's like blobs of color and it looks really bad. This is what the whole RV looked like that when I was painting. Except, you know, I used rollers and stuff, which made it easier. But in this case, I didn't. And you're like, well, why don't you take all those things off? Well, if I take it all off, the electrical systems go down, kind of, for the solar and the battery system. But I'm not using those, so I might take it off. But I'm probably going to paint around. And then later, over time, I will remove one of those at a time and paint them if I feel like it. If I think, yeah, you know, it bothers me to know that it's not all white underneath. But here's what the problem is, guys. Let's say I take all this stuff down and I do a really nice job painting all that. But if you look, this wood is all messed up. It's not even smooth. The paneling crap came off. So the question is, why would you want to go ahead and take everything and sit down and do a really good job painting when the wood panel is already bad? You really need to replace the whole thing. You understand what I'm saying? I would take that out, buy a new piece of wood, trace it and cut out the same pattern and put it back in. That's the correct way to do it. So me painting over the panel and stuff is the quick, dirty way that I think I can get a nice result without spending too much money other than paint and time. You know, and just doing this slowly with a little brush. It's the same with these cabinets, okay? To do it correctly, I don't know if you can see these cabinets look like crap. They're old cabinets, but by putting paint on them, I think I'll keep the mirror. Because that was something they paid extra for on the original RV, to have the decorative mirrors on there. But I'm going to try to paint around the thing. I might have to tape it up, but I've been painting freehand because I don't really care if it spills a little. You know, I know it's bad. Somebody say, you know, why don't you just tape it? It doesn't take that long. I just didn't feel like it. I don't want to spend the money on tape. I don't care. I just want to get it done. But I will probably go, you know, like on the edge, I may have to tape it. May take the time to tape that you know, keep the mirror. And then this is this cloth material, which I can't really do anything about. I could try to paint it white, but I might even paint it white and say, screw it, I don't care that it's cloth. Paint right on cloth. And you can see that even this wood is like falling apart and stuff. It's not like the best, okay? But when I paint it and everything looks white, it'll look cohesive like it does back here. I just wanted to show you kind of what it looks like once you finish. It looks better. And this isn't even done. This is like about 85-90% done. But you can see, once you get it all painted and you start to fill in all the little holes and stuff, it doesn't look so bad. It actually looks pretty decent, you know. It looks like a fairly nice thing. And then the wall, I'm also going to paint all white, and I might put up a splash. I haven't decided yet. And even this, I could take this off and paint. Like, this is the little thing I made. But I've just been taking the brush and going and then trying to go underneath a little bit. And I'm in no rush, and then I'll empty it and do that. I could take the whole thing apart and paint it, but it just depends on how I feel. You know, I think initially I'll do it while it's still on there, just to have it done. And then if I'm really, really bored, okay, it's a project. You just unscrew that and you paint the whole thing and paint behind there so it's all white, so it matches. But, you know, I know people who are OCD, they're going to want to do that. Me, I'm kind of OCD in some ways, but, you know, remember this RV is named Good Enough. And it's named Good Enough for a reason. And I know some of you are looking at this like, dang, it's a mess. It's probably driving you nuts at the mess. I'm living it, okay? I'm living in it. I'm cooking. I'm making food. I'm doing stuff while I'm fixing the RV. And that's why it looks like it does. But just wanted to show you that it is starting to come together. I did paint the AC vent. It's not like, you know, overhead thing, even though I don't think it was the original, because switches and buttons were missing. But by painting it white, it gives the ceiling a little bit more of a cohesive look. I don't know if you guys remember, this was the wood grain panel. Remember the cheap $15 sheet panel? I painted it white, and you can see it kind of blends in. The whole ceiling and the whole RV isn't completely painted, but it's been kind of blended. And I blended the old white paint that they had with mine, but the eventual plan will be to roll it all, you know, with the white paint so that it all matches the same white paint. But for now, it's starting to look a little bit more, I guess, like complete, because you can see the cabinets there are kind of done, you know, not completely done, because I need to do some touch-ups, but it's starting to look a little bit more like a completed product. And you can see our floor. I don't know if you remember, this is not, you know, some people look at this floor and say that's a crappy floor. They obviously have not seen the original video where there was no floor, there was holes, and the wood was rotted, and it was all weird, and I had to cut weird pieces to make it fit. I don't know if you guys remember all those days, but this is good enough, okay? I think I spent a whole whopping, I think I spent like $40, $40 on the wood that went underneath, and then I spent about another, probably about $60 on the panels or less. So we're talking like $100 to do the whole floor for the RV, which, you know, it's not perfect, but like I said, it's good enough. It's good enough for me to have to walk in and live in and stuff. And you can see I took the paint and I painted this wall, which used to have that wood grain paneling. And you can see it looks much better now. It looks nice and clean. But just to show you, it is still that same crappy wall. See how it's all, that was that, you know how it was flaking and stuff? So that's kind of like where it flaked, and the stuff looks kind of bad like that. But the idea isn't, like I said, to do a perfect job or anything, because to rehab this RV could cost you, if you wanted to replace everything, $20,000, okay, or more. $10,000 to $20,000 would do it. My whole budget was under $2,000, and most of that was, you know, actually we ended up spending a lot more on the mechanical, which I didn't intend to have to happen, but it did happen. And thanks to Connie and several other people who jumped in at that time when we had that crisis with the hurricane last year, it was around this time last year, I ended up getting stranded and having to spend all that money on mechanicals, which still isn't fixed. It still has some mechanical issues, but at least it's drivable. A lot more trustworthy than it was at that time. I could drive it around somewhere, but I would not travel around the country in this RV. I would live in this RV, and you could take it to, you know, you could move it around and park it where you need to park it, but I would not drive this around daily because of the mechanical issue. I would find a spot to park it, like in an RV park, or rent a spot at someone's house, you know, and then park it and live in it, because it's being designed almost like a little tiny house on wheels instead of like an RV, because it's got its own battery power system with enough solar power that I can run pretty much everything during the daytime, other than air conditioning. I can run air conditioning in the little AC in the back room for a couple hours. We'll talk about that in another episode where we talk about power and how much it really, I think people underestimate how expensive it is as far as electrical usage to run air conditioning. But this RV doesn't have like a humongous system. You know, I spent, I think, for the solar and the power, less than $1,000. And we're able to run the air conditioner, we're able to run the microwave and all that stuff off-grid. I mean, if I had to live off-grid completely, I have enough power, especially on a sunny day, that I could be comfortable. And the reason I can be comfortable with it isn't because of the air conditioning and the fact that it can run AC and that we've installed a generator, but because of these fans. I can run like 1 million fans, and, you know, almost everything you see as is right now running can be run, other than the rooftop AC, which right now is running offshore power because it's paying, you know, to be parked here. Most of the components we got working. We know that the LPG liquid propane. The propane stove does work, even though I don't use it. I've been using. I don't know if the oven works. I never got to testing that. The electrical is what I've been doing. I've been using electricity and the electric burner. And the reason for all that going on electric is I don't have to pay for electricity at this RV park. It's included in my rent. So I have pretty much free electricity at this point. And that means the more that I can use, like the toaster oven, the stovetop thing, the rice cooker, I can cook all that off free electricity. And I can run air conditioning off free electricity. So it makes it feel really comfortable. It's a fixed rate, so I know how much I'm spending every month, my living expenses and stuff. As long as I can stay on electric and stuff, I can cook all that I want. And what else? Pretty much the sink. I just need to do dishes. But you can see I was painting using this little brush. And I use a roller for rolling most parts, but for the cabinets and stuff, I've been using the brush. And I'm slowly brushing it, just showing you that it looks like this right now. So hopefully the next time you see it, it'll be more done and you'll be like, wow, it actually looks neat. But I wanted to show people, to encourage you that, when you're working on a project like this, it might look really bad while you're working on it. And the correct way, like I said, is ripping it all apart and putting in all new cabinets. But if you don't have the money like I don't, just a little bit of coat of paint on it will make it look better. It'll make it more modern looking, and it's just it's cheap. Okay, it's cheap, but it improves the appearance. So that is what we're at right now. The refrigerator does work off 120 volts. I think it'll work off the propane. I think I tested it, but I would need to fill up the propane tank and need to learn how to do that. I've just bought a bunch of food, so you can see I'm packed for food, even ice cream. That's like people who live in a house with a refrigeration and stuff take this for granted, but having the ability to have ice cream whenever you want, that's like a huge luxury. But I bought all this food here for me to eat, like pizza and stuff, but also to take to work. Normally, when I was in the van, it was very hard because the Walmart is under, the restricted hours, the reduced hours. So having to get in there before I go to work, it was impossible. So now I buy it and I bring it home and I freeze it in my refrigerator freezer, which is a nice one here in the RV. And then I take it to work the next morning, and then I put it into the works freezer refrigerator. I no longer have to bring ice from work because obviously I have my own. And you can see I actually have some water bottles and stuff I left frozen here. This is done so that when power goes out, which it inevitably does in Florida, I have ice and other, all the other frozen foods and stuff in there. The ice will kind of keep things chilled for a while, hopefully long enough for them to get the power turned back on. Because Florida is bad for electrical. It always goes out during storms and stuff like that. We get a gazillion storms. And if you're in an RV park, it's even worse. And I know some people say you should put like a surge suppressor on the power thing, but I was looking at them and they can be kind of expensive, like $250 to $1,000 or more. I don't know if I'm going to spend that kind of money. But people who spend it on that, it's because they value their electronics. Stuff can fry if the power surges and stuff like that. Me, this is a $30 computer. This was like a $15 TV. I'm not sure I want to spend $250 to $1,000 on a surge suppressor. So I'm just going to go ahead and cross my fingers. And if it got really bad, I can unplug and run off my battery bank. Okay, then I can control, as long as the batteries aren't shorting out and making its own surge, So let's take a look towards the back. And I know it's bad because it's not done yet. You can see I've started to paint the panels all white so that this will look a little bit more like, I know it's blurry here. Let me see if I can turn on the there. Now we got the light from the camera, so it should be a little bit easier to focus. You can see it looks pretty bad right now. See how it's not even or anything like that? That's because I haven't gone through the finishing. Take this off, but I still got some on here. I eventually unscrewed that and did it, but remember, this is good enough. It's like, I don't need it perfect. As far as the bed area, I did put up some poles there to help hold up the cabinet, but also it serves as mounts for the fans. So you can actually mount the fans all the way across and cool yourself down. And of course we got the AC unit, which we can pop out the window. And this is all a mess right now because this area right here I'm clearing out, because underneath here I'm going to put kind of a food pantry, you know, because we're in the middle of the pandemic. So I want to have storage, a lot of storage for food and water and stuff, in the event that they end up making it so that we can't go back out, you know, to shop for a while. And the reason I'm bringing all that up is because, like, right now, I don't know if you guys are aware, you know, the United States is having all these surges and stuff in cases and whatnot, and they're acting like they're opening up schools. They're acting like it's... Conditions right now are worse than they were when they shut down the schools and the businesses, but they're opening everything back up even though it's worse. Which means they're going to open up the schools, get even more people infected, and then shut it all back down again. And then they're going to be more restrictive. I'm like, you know what? I won't even get into it. But long story short, I'm going to have to start to stockpile food, which I've been doing, but I'm going to organize it a little bit better. And going through and organizing all my things. What else? I may put up some cabinets, you know, shelving up there, just so you can have a little bit more storage. And of course, you got the overhead storage. All this was made. Remember, there was nothing there. It was all ripped off. But remember the back wall, if you saw the earlier part of this video. This is all stuff I put in. And I did go ahead and paint this, you know, white. You can see it doesn't match. The original wall, the people before me had started to paint it, but it didn't match. But it looks better that it's all white, because now I can kind of look and it's like a white wall. And then I was debating, maybe you guys can give me advice here. Do you see the wood grain panel right there? I thought of painting it. The original plan was to paint the whole room white, just like the rest of the RV, and everything would look really white. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? It might look too white. You know? It's like too sterile. If everything's all white, and then you have like black appliances and stuff, it's black and white. But if you have like all these mixed colors, kind of, but most of the walls are all white, I think it could look kind of boring. And I do kind of like the wood grain. Do you see that wood grain that we got there? Do you guys think I should leave it as a wood grain? And then like just to show you what the bedroom looks like here. But if we leave it with the wood grain, then at least I have one brown room. But I'm thinking of painting the cabinets white, because, you know, the grains are going the wrong way, and also they don't match. But that could be white, and the poles there could be white. But as far as the walls, leaving it wood grain would give me a brown room when I come into it. You know, the bedroom, which will be a little bit more warm. And I want to show you kind of what I've done over here, which isn't done yet. But you can see I started to make my little multimedia center here. This is the computer that was thrown away. But you can see things are being strapped down, and I put little hooks and stuff on it. The little green thingy with the hooks on it, to hold cables and whatnot. But this is my media server, and from here I can run like videos and watch them here on the TV. Also, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, I pointed it out before, Pluto TV. Pluto TV, you can connect to it on the internet using a web browser, and you can actually use it like a TV just from the web browser. It like supersedes my old program, which I'll show you later, where I had World TV. You could watch TV and stuff from around the world. But with Pluto TV, you pretty much have access to TV, cable TV, like it was in the 1980s. As a matter of fact, the shows they're running on are from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s or whatever. So they're old shows. I was just watching like Greatest American Hero, I think Petticoat Junction, a whole bunch of old shows, and they stream them. I think they have an on-demand version, and they also have a version that's like regular TV. It was kind of weird to put it on regular TV. Maybe I'll try to show it to you. Oh, I can't, because the best reception is going to be through this phone when I set the phone as Wi-Fi. But if I do that, my live transmission will conk out, because you know, the Wi-Fi is very limited at this park, so I have to use the phone a lot for Wi-Fi access. But I set my phone as a Wi-Fi device, connect to the phone from the computer here, and I stream Pluto TV on here, and I watch a lot of old shows. So it's kind of interesting. Tim says you can paint a little over the mirror and scrape it off with the razor blade. So I could do that. And he says I should leave the wall alone. So I think I will go ahead and leave, because one, it's less work. I'll just do the edge there. You know, if I really wanted to make it look nice, I might put in trim. But then I had priced the trim and stuff. To trim this whole RV could cost as much as $200. $200 for these stupid little bead stick thingies. You know what I'm talking about? The trim, like these little bead thingies that go along the edge. It could be like $200 worth to do the whole RV, which is crazy. Some people, I think they think it's worth it because, you know, it'll look nice. But me, I'm like, $200? I'll live with the crappy edge. But I will probably, do you see, remember some stuff that looked good until you actually put it into action? Do you see these blinds that come down? It turns out they suck. When you drive around, they swing back and forth. And look what happens. They hit wood and they hit other stuff and then they break. So those are all ruined. I will probably get new blinds, maybe. Or I might just get cloth shades or something. I don't know. But those things, they swing. If I do get the same kind of stuff, what I'll do is I'll make a little mount so that they can be locked into place when you're driving so they don't sway back and forth. You know, because they swish. See, yeah, it looks like a house, but then when you drive, everything flies around. So everything has to be strapped down. I've set this up as a little office with a laser printer. And that's got to be strapped down. All this is going to be strapped down. You can see how everything is kind of strapped down. So it's designed to look like a house, but it's got to behave like an RV. Stuff can't be left loose to fly everywhere. But this side is going to be dedicated to computer stuff. And you can see I have the sound coming out through there from the computer. So it's not like the newest technology. It's most like 80, 90, 2000 technology that I'm using. But it does make the RV like modern. Because like I can watch streaming channels on here. I can play. Let me just show you here, since we don't have to connect to the internet for this. But I'll put the TV on, and okay, the computer is still on because Windows won't let me shut down. That's a whole nother thing, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But look at stupid Windows here. Windows is trying to set itself up and install itself and do weird stuff. This is like Windows 10, okay? Which I may end up having to uninstall now, but I like that. Look at this, they're updating it even without my permission. This is some serious bullshit. It's updating itself without my permission. Sliding in the micro. I don't believe it. They updated themselves. The computer did. Because I didn't shut it down. I don't know how to... Let's get started here. Default profile. It says Holly. That was whoever this was. You're not connected to the internet. Okay. So anyhow, it still wants to say activate Windows. I try to look for a hack to remove that, you know, without activating Windows, because I don't care to activate Windows. But I've removed most of... it turns out I think Windows 10 is now giving itself away free. So, but when you install it, it becomes like adware, spyware, or whatever. It keeps spamming you with all these online ads, saying you have a virus and all sorts of crazy crap. Just those ads that make you want to click, and then they want to extort money from you until you pay to register, and then you can remove that. They've locked the settings so you can't set your computer anymore, but you can use Windows. But what I found is Windows 10 is actually very friendly towards compatibility with older software. A lot of my old software works under Windows 10. So I was like, huh. It looks like Windows 10 might be one of the most compatible software other than Windows XP for the old software. So it's worth might be worth upgrading to 10, but I'm not sure I want to pay them, and I don't know what's going to happen. So right now I'm going to keep using it with that stupid watermark right there. Unless I can figure out a hack for removing that watermark without activating Windows. But they won't even let me change the screensaver or anything like that. But I wanted to show you some stuff on here that I think is kind of interesting. Let's look at MAME. So these are like really old copies of software I think I had from the days when I was actually using computers, you know, XP. But here, let's try to find something everybody knows. These are real arcade games. Have you ever heard of MAME? It's like multiple arcade emulator. Let me look at one that... Let me try another one. Space. Okay, let's see here. I'm trying to find a game that everybody would know. Let's go to Donkey Kong. But the MAME stands for Multiple Arcade Emulator Machine, Multiple Arcade Machine Emulator. And what it is people have gotten so smart, they actually convert in software a whole computer to emulate like those arcade machines. So here we go. And you can see it is like the real arcade. This is the real arcade code. So let me try to figure out how to put money in here. I forget how to put money. Okay, F2 does money. So this is like Donkey Kong, and I'm trying to remember how to, what button is the fire button? I don't remember. Okay. So I can sit here and reminisce and jump back to the 1980s and 70s when I was a teenager. Okay, it's a little fuzzy, but this is the real code. So, all right. I just wanted to show you that, and I got like a gazillion. You know, there's like a new gazillion games on here. If you want to learn more about it, look up MAME, Multiple Arcade Machine Emulator. They have it for various computer systems and stuff. But these are the real code, the real ROMs. So when you're playing this, it's like paying money. This is one of my favorite games. Not because of the game itself, but because of the music. Let's see if we can get it to come up. You can see it even does the test patterns, but it's gyrus. Please deposit coins. So, and not only that, I have an actual arcade, like, fighter command type joystick. So I'm able to do that. I'm able to run movies on here. I'm able to stream stuff. I'm able to run let me get out of here because otherwise we get all this noise. But this is just Multiple Arcade Machine Emulator. I also have like the Atari emulator, and I have the Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Let me try to load a game here. Show you that we can run Nintendo stuff. Let's do something with good music. See if I can find something here. Donkey Kong Country? Let's try that. Oops. That was a zip file. Didn't mean to do that. Donkey Kong Country. I think it's this one here. And we want to go to video full screen. So you can see we've got like a Super Nintendo here. Oh, this is running on that computer that I found in the trash. Without me having to modify it. So I've got like, you know, so never gonna be too bored. Lots of games on here. I'm gonna try to show you some developments here. Some stuff I'm gonna be releasing some code for. Let's see if I can find stuff here. Okay, this is like, I know a lot of people, let me see if I can get this to work. It may or may not work on here. Okay, it does work. And I told you guys a while back, I worked in my old days, in my glory days and stuff. I was actually the technology specialist at elementary school, but I was, even before that, I was a professional computer programmer and stuff. Anyhow, I used to write a lot of stuff, and when I became the technology specialist, they put me in charge of the TV production, and we did like live TV, live school TV. So there wasn't anything like this available for the kids to use, so I wrote this little thing which allows them to put up like pictures and stuff like that on command. Like, you know, you hit a button. But I also programmed in, I wonder if this works. Let me see if F1 works, a teleprompt. Okay, so wait a second. Here we go. So I wrote like a teleprompter. This was like an all-inclusive. And this could actually still be used, especially now that I know it works under Windows 10. Because for a while it stopped working easily, you know. Because it was written, I think, originally for Windows 98. That's when I developed all this stuff. Most of my software is really old. But this is a teleprompt software. So you can use it to, if you do like YouTube and stuff like that, you might be able to download this. And I'm going to be giving these away, all the software here. given away to anybody who wants to use it, especially like schools and countries that don't have money. But basically, it's all included in this package. And so you can see it had instructions like that, but you put up like pictures like that, and it would bring it up. And you're like, what good is that? Well, this was actually hooked up to a graphics machine that a computer that I had like NTSC output or RCA output. And back then, everything wasn't digital. So we had like a composite TV camera. We could switch between camera 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever. And we zoom in. We use like digital editors and processors and stuff. But this software allows you to switch like, like you put live here and see the background is green because you had it was like a screen. So we had the digital machine would actually take that green and you would see video of the kids behind there. So we could put up graphics and stuff like that and have like the news broadcast. We could even do the weather forecast and all that. And it did like transitions and stuff, And the program is really cool because when I wrote it, now this was written back in like the year, like 2000 is when I wrote this. I wrote this program is like 20 years old, okay? But I wrote it knowing the future in the sense that I was like, well, if they keep Windows and they allow Windows to call up other programs, this product can actually run stuff from the future. So that means any software that you can use under Windows right now, you can program into CG+. CG+ stands for Computer Graphics Plus. But it allows you to bring in movies, videos, music, sound effects. I don't know if I have any sound effects programmed because it was on a different computer and stuff. But see how it has like all these panels? But it actually has different modes. It's got so it's 12 panels, but it's got regular mode, it's got shift mode, it's got control. That means you press the shift and then you hit that button. So let me show you what shift mode looks like. Let's see if I have any shift mode stuff. Okay, see a lot of missing files and stuff, but it could even call up like web pages, could call up screensavers, could call up PowerPoint, movie clips, whatever. It could call up anything. That's how powerful this was, because what it was basically a menu launching system that integrated the ability for you to call other programs out of one program. But you could also bring up sound effects. So let's say we were doing a show, they're in normal mode, and they had the kids on that, and they had that on that graphics with the live. Well, you could hit these keys here, these sound effect keys. See? And you can actually have it play music or play sounds like drum rolls and stuff. Ba-doom, boom, whatever. So this could all be done live. And then it even has custom programs. So you could program in a whole bunch of other stuff. And like the clock. Let me see if I have a clock. Okay, let's go to the clock. It had a really nice scrolling clock. So this is still useful 20 years later, and I'll be giving it away here. So this is the clock, and you could actually set the clock you wanted in the background and the messages and stuff. And so the clock is a digital clock. And let me try to get that scrolling there. So you can see it has that message. And you could have music running in the background. You're like, well, how does this all work? So you have all this stuff, and you can send it out through, if you had a computer, let's say you had a business or something, you could set up a clock with your message. But this is useful for like schools and stuff. They could set it and broadcast it on a closed TV system. And this is kind of how the schools and stuff ran all the stuff back then. I made it for our kids. So we were like really, really high tech back then. But even now, I think we'd still be pretty high tech. So, this was all written by me for the school as well as for sale. I never really got into marketing it. It didn't get fully finished is what happened. And then long story short, it never got marketed. So I never made any money on it, but I'll be giving it away for free. It is a very, very nice product. Something like this would have been a couple $1,000s back in the day. The sounds does everything. And what else? Try to see if I can find some other stuff that may or may not work. Because we got like really old code here. You're going to see a messed up version of a game that I was writing. This is like, remember I told you that in the day, I even had like some now famous people who are billionaires coming up to me to see if they could work with me? Because I wasn't like the first generation. If you're in your 50s and 60s, we were kind of like the pioneer. We were the computer nerd kids back then, and there was a group before us who were like the Bill Gates and the people who came up with Apple and all those other things. So it's with the bigger companies. They were maybe 5 to 10 years older than us, but our generation are the people who made the internet and all the stuff that what you see now. They're the ones who came up with the software. But this is a game I was in process of writing that it's all messed up and I had to patch it and stuff to make it work. But this was my game that never got done. And you can see it has temporary music and you're like, why is stuff not fitting the screen and stuff? Because I had to adapt it, and it's still wrong. But just to show you how this kind of works, and no, it's not supposed to have, see how the trees are all messed up? Originally it was working correctly, but since trying to get everything restarted, so you could move, and it had all this stuff on here, like target and all this stuff. That was programming stuff. That's what how the game kind of tells me if things are working. And right now the mouse and stuff isn't even right. And this was like a modification from Diablo's thingy, because these are all temporary graphics. I had my own graphics people working on stuff, but and it's not even smooth and stuff. But it was an adventure game that I've been writing like forever. Well, not really forever. It got paused, and then life happened, and I stopped developing games. But anyhow, that was one of the games. I may end up finishing this project because it's I'm basically wanting to finish things, so. But this was the Eye of Kabori, which was like one of the bigger projects. I'm debating if I'm going to go with this game and format. Remember I told you guys I could include you people into this game? I might go with this format, or I might go with the really old one. Let me see if I can find it on here. See if I can find... I'm looking here to see if I can find the... Is it you okay? No. I'm just looking to see... New Kabori? Maybe that was it. Yeah, this was I think this one was under DOS. I don't know if it'll work though. Probably won't work. Let's try it. Can't run this app because it's under DOS. Let's see. Mount C. Oops. Let's try this again. MOUNTC dev / new cab. It was New Kabori. Alt Enter. Having to relearn all this stuff. It's like, the DOS days. The original game was written for DOS, I think. You might see some really... Oh, wait a second. I want to go to C. This might be the version I work on. I don't know. Oh, man. CABORIE. All right. See if we can get this to work. Okay, so this was like the old format of the game. And you can see there was an encounter there. It says, an encounter. Do you want to leave, talk, or fight? And these were temporary graphics. It had my friend Dawn over there. She's Canadian. I'm going to leave that. But you can see we walk around and it had like the darkness and stuff like that. So this was like the old format, which was like written under DOS. And the map is the same on both of the games. The other one and this one. So this one had, and you could enter the town if you wanted to go into the town. The town of Akhmari. Leave. So music and stuff wasn't set on here yet, but it had like people that you could you know, like I was thinking of putting you guys into this game. So it would have your picture and then your bio and your character and stuff. So, but these are some of the old projects I'm going to be finishing up in addition to stuff like the RV. So my first thing is to get the RV habitable to the point where, you know, it's mostly usable. Like right now the bathroom's mostly usable. I got both lights working. I still need to clean and caulk and finish all this up, but the bathroom's actually usable. So, you know, things are coming into place. It isn't done. I just wanted to give you guys an update. Tim says there's imposter Denoy. There's actually several channels impersonating me. So if you're watching this video on a channel and only has a few subs and the people on there commenting are all negative, you're on an impersonator, an imposter channel. you can this is the impersonator, one of the trolls. So let's see here. Anyhow, I am going to go ahead and sign out. So wanted to let you guys know what's going on. I do want to show you something kind of neat, though. Some stuff that might come in useful for some of you, because of the whole lockdown situation. That it's going to get worse here in a minute because they're opening things up, and I don't think the country's ready because people still aren't wearing masks. There are still people out there not wearing masks, and the infection rate is still going up. But I wanted to point this out, which is pretty neat. It's these complete meals that are ready in 60 seconds. They're essentially already cooked. And the reason they're good is because you can actually put them out in the sun and let it sit there and heat up, and then you can have nice warm food. It's not the best food, okay? Honestly, it's about $3 a packet, a little bit under $3 a packet. But you don't require refrigeration to store them. So this is like, maybe I'll even eat one of these to show you one of these days. This is roast beef and mashed potatoes with gravy. But I'll often like cook rice and I'll eat it with this, you know. But I got this because of the whole lockdown COVID thingy. In the event that I can't cook or can't go out and get meat and whatnot. So basically, this will allow you to have some meat and stuff. Of course, you can also get like canned food, which I've got right here. It's kind of a mess right now because I'm in the process of creating the pantry and organizing everything. But I've been saving all this stuff just in case they do the complete shutdown, you know, and then you can't go shopping or whatever. So hopefully, you know, my hope is to have about 3 weeks to a month worth of food supply in the RV, so that if there's a shutdown, I can at least last a month, if not more. But that means this whole back area back here, I'm going to try to set up some shelving and stuff where we can put food and other stuff, and basically storage of food and clothes and everything else that's needed. But for now, the RV is pretty much a home. It is looking a little bit nicer. You know, once I get it straightened out here, clean this mess up, and finish the painting and stuff, it'll look a little bit more cohesive, and you can actually sit out here and enjoy TV. Like I could come out here and I could watch Pluto TV on here. So it's like having cable TV from the 80s. And I could watch it in the back if I wanted to on the computer, because Pluto TV will work on there too if I have the internet hooked up. Now the RV park hookup, you know, internet is always really bad, the Wi-Fi, so I have to use my phone data for that. But with it, if you know, for watching TV stuff, I also can play games here or back there. So you know, I am going to go ahead and head out. Take care, everyone. I hope you're all staying safe and trying to practice social distancing. Have a good day, everybody. Bye bye now.